Okay, hello everyone. I'm Kurnia Ningsih. I will serve as a chair of today's event on academic reputation enhancement held by Universitas Indonesia. This event is organized by Faculty of Computer Science of Universitas Indonesia and finally sponsored by Direktorat Pengembangan Akademik dan Sumber Daya Pembelajaran and technically sponsored by IEEE Indonesia sections. A series of academic reputation enhancement grants. Today we will start the first batch on December 1 until December 5. Now I would like to invite Dr. Insinyur Petrus Mursanto MSc, Acting Dean of Faculty of Computer Science, Universitas Indonesia, to deliver opening remark. Bapak Petrus Mursanto, time is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Nia. Let me share my slides. Okay, is my voice clear?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Selamat pagi Bapak Ibu. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan. Praise to the Lord, the Almighty, that blessed us this morning, such a good time to have this online meeting. I do hope to meet you all in good health. My name is Petrus Mursanto, the Acting Dean of Faculty of Computer Science, Universitas Indonesia. It is my privilege and pleasure on behalf of the faculty to welcome you this morning. Welcome to the Artificial Intelligence online short course that will last for 3 sessions in 3 days consecutively. This course is part of a series of activities conducted in Academic Reputation Enhancement Grant sponsored by the Directorate of Academic Development and Learning Resources Universitas Indonesia and the IEEE Indonesia section. We thank to the DPA-SDP, the Directorate of Academic Development and Learning Resources UI, who fully support the whole agendas of the academic reputation enhancements, consisting of 4 programs. That is, the first one is the Global Academic Program for conducting short course programs such as we have today. And second, the Visiting Professorship Program for developing international collaboration by having staff exchange, research collaboration, guest lecturers, and etc. The third is international benchmarking for curriculum review, update, and enrichment by external reviewers, and also joint supervision program. And the last is the diaspora scientist visitation for optimized involvement of diaspora scientists which affiliated with foreign reputable institutions in competence and capacity building for our faculty. The AI online short course will be had 3 consecutive days delivered by Professor Wisnu Chatmiko and then Dr. Mahardika Pratama from Nanyang Technological University and Dr. Muhammad Hilman from University of Melbourne. Then tomorrow, Professor Kuk Jin Chun from Seoul National University as part of visiting professorship program will deliver presentation on microelectro mechanical systems technology and its application. As part of the Diaspora Scientist Visitation, there will be a webinar on DC electricity for future homes and DC grid with distributed renewable energy sources, delivered by Professor Taufik from California Polytechnic State University. On the last day, which is Saturday, the 5th of December, as part of the International Benchmarking and Visiting Professorship Program, we will have Professor Lance Fung from Murdoch University, Australia, who presents a talk on education and ethics in digital society. We are honored to have all of these speakers who are prominent in their field of expertise. The whole 5-day event won't happen without consistent support from the IEEE Indonesia section. Hereby, I would like to thank Professor Wisnu Jatmiko, who becomes the host, and also Dr. Kurnia Ningsih as the moderator for the whole sections. We are delighted to have you all with us to participate in these events. Enjoy the short course, the webinar, and also the talks. Hope you all gain more knowledge, more insights, and other beneficials from these events. I hereby declare the whole events of academic reputation enhancement officially open. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Om Santi 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 Om Namo Buddhaya.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Bapak Dr. Petrus Mursanto. Okay.
I should stop. Yes.
Now we are going to move to the main agenda for today's Artificial Intelligence Online Short Course, AIOSC. So the first speaker for this online short course will be delivered by Professor Dr. Eng Wisnu Jatmiko, Senior Member IEEE. And the title for today's talk is on AI in telehealth applications. Now I'm going to read the speaker's profile. Professor Dr. Wisnu Jatmiko obtained electrical engineering degree, obtained bachelor degree in electrical engineering Universitas Indonesia. He obtained master degree in computer science Universitas Indonesia, and he obtained a doctoral degree in micronano from Nagoya University, Japan. Currently, he is a chair of IEEE Indonesia section 2019-2020. His research experience during 2009 until 2020, so there are more than 50 grants and 180 international publications that are mostly indexed by Scopus and Google Scholar, 13 books and 9 copyrights. In 2015, Habibie Center has awarded the winner of Habibie Award in the engineering category to Professor Wisnu. In 2014, he received an award as a research ambassador, Widya Silpa Wijana, from the Ministry of Research and Technology of the Republic of Indonesia. More details about Professor Wisnu Jatmiko can be seen at his homepage, staff.ui.ac.id, Wisnuj. So welcome to all participants online via Zoom and YouTube channels. All of you may interact with the speakers through Q&A in this chat box. So now we are going to listen Professor Wisnu Jatmiko. Prof. Wisnu, time is yours. Thank you. You are still muted, Prof. Wisnu.
Thank you, Mbak Dr. Nia, for the nice explanation. Okay, I will start the PPT. Okay, good morning, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, thank you to Dr. Petrus Mursanto as acting dean to open the seminar. Okay, my name is Wisnu Jatmiko. I am a full professor at the Faculty of Computer Science, Universitas Indonesia. Today, I am going to present a smart telehealth to enhance healthcare services in Indonesia. I will give a brief overview about the problem of Indonesia healthcare, explain briefly about telemedicine, and show you some of our research product in this field. As Pak Dr. Petrus Mursanto and Mbak Dr. Nia says, this program is support by Academic Reputation Enhancement Grant, and this is collaboration with the Faculty of Computer Science and Financial Support Directorate Pengembangan Akademik dan Sumber Daya Pembelajaran, and also technically sponsored by IEEE Indonesia section. Okay, yes, we have four program. Firstly, a global academic program, visiting professorship, international benchmarking, and diaspora scientist visitation. Actually, this seminar this week is a first batch. We have maybe 2 or 3 batch about how to improve and increase our knowledge about, especially about the AI and intelligence system. Okay, maybe as I look in the attendee, there is some from also from Malaysia, from India, and from other country from the Asia Pacific, especially region 10 area, because Dr. Nia is very active in the region 10, and so I will maybe just to introduce the Universitas Indonesia. Actually, it's the oldest campus in Indonesia, and I don't know, maybe it's one of the ASEAN most reputable research university, and quite big in terms of the number of students, almost 50,000 students. We have 2 campus located on Depok, West Java, and also in Central Jakarta, in Jakarta, Indonesia. For more detail, maybe you can explore to our homepage, www.ui.ac.id. And also I belong to Faculty of Computer Science. Even our faculty is maybe the second youngest faculty in UI. Totally, UI have 14 faculties. Even though in terms of the research, we still try to go international. So for that reason, we make some discussion to expand and to introduce more detail about our research. Okay, and also if you want to explore the detail about our faculty, you can find in the in the homepage cs.ui.ac.id. Okay, actually, my topic is about AI, artificial intelligence. For example, McCarthy, Minsky, Rockefeller, and Non. This is we call the father of the AI. They says AI is like making a machine behave in ways that will be called intelligent. If any human were so behaving. And also the other founding father about the AI, about the Turing test. It's the simple intelligent. So we call the imitation game. Yeah, test if the computer can successfully pretend to be a human in a dialogue and keyboard. You can show in the dictionary.com. So also we take the PPT from the lecture from the Professor Anil Jain during his presentation in our conference, ISASIS and IWBIS. Also, there is some YouTube link in our faculty if you want to know more detail about the history of AI. And also I put some most influential technology. Yes, actually we cannot predict the technology. They can improve very fast. Yes, for example, when the Facebook just first time just news feed in 2006, and then maybe Netflix make us some streaming video, Facebook with the Instagram, Uber, Tesla, iPad, the Apple Touch, also Amazon Alexa. Amazon is the dialogue system automatically, and also maybe Apple Face ID, Apple Face ID, 3D metal printing, and now we focus about the AI in the healthcare. Even maybe we still don't know about what kind of the combination about the implementation of the AI in the real application. Okay, actually we work in AI around maybe more than 15 years. So these are our research activity and our laboratory. We divide it, become two main focus, biomedical system and intelligence system. Now, because the title is the AI implementation in the telehealth, so we focus in biomedical system. Actually, we are already developed about the smart cardio devices, ultrasonography or USG, embryo quality monitoring, telehealth monitoring, and etc. And in terms of the intelligence system, we already developed some devices like a traffic control system, autonomous robot, a gas leak detection, communication recovery, and UAV, unmanned aerial vehicle. Okay, this is our research product, like intelligent traffic counting, adaptive traffic light, and also the robotic with the real implementation and also with the simulation. We focus about in a distributed robotic, swarm robotic. Yeah, also about we implement in the many area, for example, in the road outdoor source localization, about in the disaster communication recovery. In terms of the biomedical, for example, this is some telehealth system we already developed. This prototype maybe 10 years ago, but we already have some newest one about our devices. This is telehealth of ECG, telehealth of USG, and also because we come from a faculty of computer science, so also we focus about in simulation. This is all, for example, LiDAR building detection, agriculture localization and mapping. Also, we develop some drone. But also we develop about 3D battle simulator, UAV surveillance system, and CO2 monitoring system. Okay, yes, this is almost of the research product is related with the AI, with the auto intelligence system and automation. Okay, maybe I just because now our laboratory still focus into area. I just introduce not so detailed because I will be detailed in AI in telehealth. But actually we have a grant from USAID to implement the smart mobility because as we know, especially in the big city. I just want to explain about AI can implement in many areas. So AI, when we can use the AI in the maybe in a good way, we can solve many problems in our real problem in our life. For example, this is just an example because I'm still concentrate about how to implement the smart mobility. For example, in the big city, in the like Jakarta, Surabaya, Bandung, Yogyakarta, we still facing problem in the transportation, such as congestion, transportation mode that not integrated, and also the other problem. So in conclusion, we need smart mobility approach to solve that problem. The smart mobility consists, this is just for example, consists of several parts, such as a vehicle detection, yeah, vehicle tracking, vehicle counting, and a big data analytics. Also in terms of telehealth, we deal about the big data analytics. So I just show about we already implement near in the real implementation. So two main product in smart mobility are adaptive traffic light, control, and traffic prediction. And we hope it can reduce traffic congestion significantly. Yes, everything is AI, simulation, algorithm, detection, deep learning, with the machine learning. Yeah. So yes, AI is very powerful, and it can implement in many areas. Okay, because I just when we doing research, for example, we must make some collaboration. We call A, B, G, and C: academic, business, government, and community. In our research, we try to put it all together because if we want to implement in real application, we need some collaboration with many stakeholders. So for that reason, maybe we have some short course or discussion, and then maybe we can continue with the strong collaboration among of us. Also, okay, this is a smart mobility tracking, and we also publish in we already have some publication prototype, This is the night area, and also I can collect the data, the big data. We can predict, so that maybe we can reduce. For example, we can reduce the congestion in Jakarta. Maybe the people who maybe already come to Jakarta, sometimes we call the traffic in Jakarta is quite terrible. So we try to reduce, at least to reduce the traffic in Jakarta, traffic problem in Jakarta. Also, we also in the last couple months we published, because when we are doing in the AI research, smart society, and it's very fast, and when we can maybe racing with the other researcher, so that we can have some output, and we can publish in the reputation journal. This is a sample one. Okay. Our focus is now in telehealth system. Actually, this is also a research project. In the last 10 years, we already have some partner, A, B, G, C, academic, in terms of academic, from Universitas Indonesia, Faculty of Medical, and Faculty of Computer Science, academic, business, some for example, Samsung, and Solusi from the industry, and also from the government, from the regulation, Kominfo, Kemenkes, and also we are from the community, IEEE, for example. So when we want to solve maybe the difficult problem, but we can we share, and we use some multidisciplinary approach. So we hope maybe the problem can solve perfectly. Okay, and we already published, for example, a journal, a conference, and book, and also the prototype, patent. Actually, now we try to move to real implementation. But because maybe I want to share about the some difficulty, maybe I need suggestion maybe from the audience about the discussion, and then maybe we can solve the problem. Okay, because first is about the telehealth system. So this is my outline presentation about the telehealth AI implementation in telehealth. First, I want to explain about the problem healthcare in Indonesia, and we try to make some proposed solution. Telehealth system recent development in Indonesia, especially from our laboratory, and also the challenging and opportunity. Okay. Problem healthcare in Indonesia, especially now the problem is more complicated, because currently we are facing the COVID-19 pandemic. So the COVID-19 is still outbreak. In Jakarta, for example, or in West Java, we call the red area. Yeah. Recently, the total death toll has reached Indonesia. Maybe the data is I am not update, because now corona case maybe is maybe ini 3 months ago, 2 months ago. I must update the PPT. I'm sorry. Now in Indonesia, it's reached 500,000 yesterday, more than 500,000. And about the death rates, I don't know, it's quite high in terms of maybe WHO standard. So this is also our problem. So the government policy state that we should do social distancing. This will effectively reduce the spread of COVID-19. So how to make a social distancing? So the one way is we can implement with the telehealth system, with the automated telehealth system based on AI, based on artificial intelligence. Okay, and the other is Indonesia. As you may have known, Indonesia is very large island. It spans more than 2 million square kilometers. We have more than 17,000 islands that are both habited and inhabited, including the small island maybe. And we are also located in the Ring of Fire, which explain why there are a lot of active volcanoes in Indonesia. And in Indonesia, there are more than 2,050 million people, where 22 million live here in Jakarta. So you can you imagine about the density of population? Yeah, also it is a challenging how to implement the social distance, and can we obey the social distance? Also now we still struggle how to implement in social distance, especially in the big city, in the density of population is quite high. And the other problem, because we are a big nation, but the problem is the number of the doctor. The most of the doctors are concentrated in Java, especially in the capital city, Jakarta. This is shown by the spread of, for example, cardiologists. Roughly 44% of cardiologists in Indonesia are based in Jakarta. How can 44% the cardiologists stay in Jakarta? And for example, this is the data. Can you imagine in Papua? It's quite big. Yeah? There are only 2 cardiologists that are available for the whole island. Maybe at same size of the maybe larger than Java. But the number of doctors is very limitation. So this is also same problem with the OB-GYN specialists. 24% of OB-GYN doctor, which is approximately 700 people, are based in Jakarta also. In Jayapura, there are only maybe less than 20 that are available, which is only when we make some presentation, 0.3% of the total OB-GYN in Indonesia. This is what drives us to conduct the study of telemedicine, because it is also important to the people in Indonesia that live in the rural area to receive the same level of treatment as the people who live in the large metropolitan area. Yes, some equality. This is our challenge. So we try to at least to improve the facility to the rural area. Okay, Actually, this is from Dr. Rina Agustina, my colleague from Faculty of Medicine, published in the Lancet journal, very famous journal, with her colleagues. They says the disparity in our healthcare service is still become the main issue. The inequality in the health indicator, such as mortality rate, availability of the healthcare services, and the people living below the poverty line are reflected in a high variability across and within province and the district. And the disparity imbalance issue included province with a high poverty and high inequality. Okay, this in the red one is, for example, in Papua, for example, in West Nusa Tenggara, and low poverty and high inequality, low poverty and high equality, and also compare medium. Okay, for more detail, maybe you can read in the their publication in the Lancet journal Lancet last year, 2019. Yes. So to track service delivery and health, the Ministry of Health construct a composite indicator known as the Public Health Development Index, PHDI, which integrated coverage inequality in the health service and the health status. The PHDI is used to rank district the presentation of public health, okay, and so on. So more detail maybe you can read from Dr. Rina publication. It's quite good because not quite. It's very good because published in Lancet and very informative. So we can know about the update situation in Indonesia. Okay, so we try to make some solution. This is our proposed solution. We develop an integrated telehealth system. In this initial phase, we just focus to specific problem, which is maternal and infant health, and also for cardiovascular disease. Yeah, especially for maternal and infant health, infant health. It is very important now because mom and infant are most the risk of contracting COVID-19, because maybe the pregnant woman also go to the hospital, and sometimes it's quite we call, I don't know, because the safety standard maybe is depend with the area, with depend on with the hospital, because ABD, we call APD, or for the is quite expensive. So maybe so I think it is the one best solution to implement in with the telehealth system. Okay, USG and ECG, cardiologist and obstetrician. Actually, we can extend, implement in other area, but now we focus in the cardiologist, ECG, and USG. Okay, maybe because I want to, I don't know, maybe your background is, I think not all of you, your background is medical people maybe, or computer or IT people. So I just want to brief about what is the telemedicine. Yes, this is the, for example, the telemedicine from the program in 2015. Telemedicine is a remote medical practice which utilize advanced telecommunication and information technology for the delivery of the healthcare, and the exchange of the health information. This is the delivery with the remote medical practice, delivery of healthcare, and the exchange of the health information across the distance. And yes, the telemedicine changed the medical collaborative decision making and a doctor-patient relationship, and has an impact of the responsibility of the physician to patient and how to treat them. Okay. And this is the common telemedicine concept. There are two common telemedicine concept. The first is the store and forward. Yeah. As a tele-USG, tele-ESG, tele-CG that does not require immediate action. The data will be stored and forwarded to the appropriate specialist in the major city. For example, for the tele-ECG, the data will be acquired by the remote hospital and the forward to the cardiologist in the big cities. And the other telemedicine concept is the two-way interactive communication. This included video conference, for example. Yeah. And therefore, usually this is for the immediate action. Immediate action could be advices to the hospital in the remote area by the specialist in the major city. Okay, in terms of the concept, in terms of the evolution of the communication, for example, in terms of the communication, telemedicine has evolved from time to time. Yeah, initially, this communication is only from a single point to single point. Yeah, in this communication method, the patient is only connected to one doctor and one time. Yeah, point to point. Afterward, point to multi-point. The communication involved where one patient can communicate with several doctors. Yeah, from the same hospital and the same time. And the last, maybe not the last one, because maybe this is the categorization from maybe 5 years ago, maybe because the technology is improve very fast. So sometimes the definition is quite changed. So in terms of the communication, we say multi-point to multi-point communication system. So that the patient could connect with the doctor at the different hospital. And also the topological of the telemedicine activity. We divided from the Simon and Pelletieri in 2012. There are 4 main activity in the telemedicine. The first is the teleconsultation. This one. Yeah. Teleconsultation is this activity involves the patient requesting physician and the required physician. Okay, you can the other one is tele-expertising, tele-monitoring, and tele-assistant. Okay, the other one is tele-expert process, for example. Okay, maybe I want not explain the detail about the telemedicine theory, but I want to show about the result. Okay, Mbak Dr. Nia, maybe because I got from the some psychology, because the people just want to listen until 45 minutes,
Right.
1 hour,
Okay.
and then maybe there is some I don't know question, 1 or 2 question, and then maybe we can interact. Okay,
Okay.
please Mbak Dr. Nia.
Thank you, Prof. Wisnu. So I will try to read some questions and then we will continue again later. Okay, the first question is from Miss Vina about how to input the fetal heart rate feature into smartwatch. Do you think, is it possible? Is it able to do it, Prof. Wisnu?
Okay. I don't know. There's many doctors. So I
Yeah.
from some hospital, as I mentioned, also is some Professor Bambang who know very well about the professor in the heart disease, and also from some hospital RSCM. So correct me when I'm wrong because I'm not a doctor. But as I know, when I want to implement from the watch, we call a single lead in ECG. There is some many ways to implement. One lead at 1 or 3 lead or 6 or 12. We call a multi lead. So actually maybe the pattern of the heart rate, I don't know, maybe the people we call PKRST, the pattern of the heart rate. We can collect the pattern from the, I don't know, lead 3 or lead 4. So usually when we implement in the watch, smartwatch, we put this, but sometimes the pattern is, we cannot catch the pattern with the perfectly. So for that reason, maybe we need some lead to diagnose the heart, the healthy of the heart with the many parameter. So usually just for the, we call early warning system in the watch. This is my answer, Mbak Dr. Kurnia.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Prof. Wisnu. Okay, the next questions, I try to pick up and select the best questions here from Mr. Dwi Fadila Kurniawan. I imagine a system like this and have conducted several related studies on the detections of bone and lung disease, COVID-19, using X-ray image extractions. The questions are, first, how accurate will the remote detection result be? And the second, is there a specific donor in charge of validating the data, the results of the detections by extracting the image? And the third is, the extent to which government support for the telehealth system is related to regional facilities used as a pilot for this system. Do you think so? Or is there a specialist doctor in charge of validating the data as the result of the detections by extracting the image? So what do you think, Prof. Wisnu?
This is not one question, 3 or 4 questions, but it's okay. Okay.
Yeah. Questions, yeah. He studies on detections on bone and lung
Okay.
disease. X-ray.
The meaning is X-ray image extraction. So
Yes.
actually, I am become collaborate with some PhD student in the Faculty of Medical who will implement AI, yeah, in terms of diagnose the X-ray image extraction and how to know, even because there is some regulation. So in Indonesia, we cannot replace the expert from the doctor. So the decision is still from the doctor. So the system, the AI system, just to help the doctor to know as soon as possible. So please remember about that, because when the decision is from the tool or from the system where when there is some what is the call
You
malpractice, because when we use some automatic system, who will be responsible? Okay, this is also the regulation is still not implemented in Indonesia, even in European country or US country. So it's still open problem. So I cannot answer maybe very detailed because it's still open problem, and maybe we can collaborate and we can continue with some FGD maybe very very detailed and so on. Okay, I think enough, Mbak Dr. Kurnia, because already 2,
okay?
but the second one is 3 questions, but it's still okay. I will continue
Okay.
the presentation, because now I will show about our result about the implementation of telehealth in the SCG and USG.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, Professor, just now, your answers is also regarding that the rules of humans still important. So human in the loop. I remember Prof. Anil Jains at that time when he said that
Yes.
human in the loop is still really important, right? So AI here
Right.
to help the medical doctors or health professionals to make decisions, but the final is still in the human.
Still in the human. So AI just a tool, not cannot replace whole of the capability of the human. Maybe the part of, for example, for the accuracy, for the maybe for the other aspect in the human. Okay,
Yes.
Mbak Dr. Nia, I will continue. So
Yeah.
maybe after that we can discuss.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So we implement. This is our first research. The tele USG. So this is the video. Yes, this is the video. In the system, yeah, there are 2 main focus that we work on. Yeah. The first, the system itself, the system we built the how to collect the sensing system, and then the second is the automatic fetal biometric measurement. This is the our algorithm. This is the AI. We implement some algorithm so that maybe our system become automatic. So for example, I will explain the biometric measurement because our focus in AI. Even maybe, I don't know, sometimes some doctor give me a question about how about your algorithm or how about your system compare with the product from the maybe the big company. Okay, in the big company, they are focused how to make a system, but in our side we put the intelligent. So this is also in how to put intelligent. We try to implement some or many of the machine learning. Also, we call AI, machine learning and deep learning and other algorithm. Okay, the next I will. Yes, this is the video. Actually, we already make some become a mobile and implement in the prototype, but I still have some problem about to get the we call the agent header and blah blah blah, because in Indonesia the standard of the networking, the standard of AI still not I don't know, because we still have some Maybe I will got the valuable comment from the doctor for the how to got the agent edar and so on. I just want to explain about in the technical term. Okay, this is just the fetal biometric measurement. Yeah, start with the segmentation. This is algorithm segmentation of the fetal organ. For instance, in this slide, there are two types of organ. We segment this one organ. The upper left picture is the fetal humerus. This one, fetal humerus, and the right in the fetal, and then we can segment it. How to segmentation? This is just some, for example, we call some algorithm. After being segmented, then the curve, the pattern have as a curve, so we must make some approximate. Yes, the approximate the mathematic formula related to the curve approximate is the half transform, for example, and then fetal head and abdomen are approximate because this is ellipse, and then femur and humerus because line, and we implement the algorithm so that maybe we can calculate automatically. Yes. So for more detail, maybe you can read our publication. And yes, and after we can approximate the pattern, and then the final step is the fetal biometric measurement. We measurement the biometric from the segmentation image. We can calculate the biometric of the fetus, for example. There are 4 biometrics that we calculate. Yeah, head circumference, the bilateral diameter, and the abdomen circumference, femur length, and humerus length. Oh, it's very technical, but this is the important parameter when we know about the condition of the baby, about the abdomen. Okay, this is our implementation, and now still ongoing. Yeah. Still ongoing. We got some grant, but actually when we want to got the agent edar is quite difficult sometimes because I don't know. Actually, the conference or the workshop in Indonesia, we want to make some engagement between academici and industry and people. So after that, maybe we can implement in real implementation. Okay, the other one is about Tele ESG. Okay, now this is our second system, similar to the Tele USG. Our work is divided into 2. First, we conduct research in automatic classification. Yes, classification. The pattern of the system of the ECG data obtained by the sensor. The data that were gathered by the system will be sent the required specialist in the major hospital. However, the system could also detect heartbeat condition based on the ECG data automatically. Sometimes we can send directly, and sometimes we can make some automatic classification in the first step. But the decision, because this is the regulation in Indonesia, the decision is still from the doctor. Okay, because we deal with the Tele USG, with the communication, Also, we try to make some implementation, AI implementation, algorithm implementation in the transmission area. Yeah, the other research that we conduct is the system is for the compression system, because there are limited connection in rural area, especially in Indonesia, because the infrastructure is still not, I don't know, is still not implemented in the until in the rural area. Also, this is a big problem. So we need some compression algorithm to send out data. And in this research, we use some algorithm to implement. Okay, so the system, the sensor system utilize sensor to measure a person heartbeat and will visualize and store the heartbeat data in the Android smartphone. And for the classification, the system could also provide an automatic classification on the person cardiovascular health. In addition to that, the system also send the person data to the doctor. In terms of the transmission, we develop a method for ECG signal, compression to be transmitted via cellular signal. Okay, this is the video. Okay, this one. Application, and then with the mobile. Yeah. This is the video demo of our telehealth system. This is still a single lead. Actually, we already implement the multi-lead, 6 lead and 12 lead. And about some of the classification, some of the compression, even we now struggle to try to get or to got the Izin Edar from the Kemenkes, from the Ministry of Health from Indonesia. And then maybe we can become a mass product our devices. Okay. Yes, as we mentioned before, this is algorithm. Tele ESG method, our tele ESG system has an automatic heart disease prediction. Yeah, we use some algorithm. For example, we use adaptive IMG LVK or some neural network or from deep learning. Okay, sometimes the other researcher give me some question. If we use a deep learning, it is take a long time. Yes, it is take a long time for the training. After our system know and already ready to, for example, to make some testing for a classification, the running time is not so long. Yeah, but the neural network and deep learning is quite powerful. This is AI. This is algorithm. And also about the compression. Our tele-USG system gather large volume of the data. For example, for the single patient, it will generate about 1 gigabyte data in a day. So we need compression method to reduce data size without loss important information of ECG. For example, like a pattern and shape of the signal. Yeah. For that reason, we developed some algorithm we call 2D-SPSAT or 3D-SPSAT. Okay. And this is, for example, multi-lead, and this is some step. And we implement in our board. Yeah. And then maybe the other challenge, but we parallel make some, after we can collect the data. Yeah. The problem is about the large data analytic. So The big data challenge is, for example, it is not just about big. Yeah, about the volume, velocity, variety, structure and unstructured. Yeah. For example, as you may have seen earlier, our telehealth system involves a lot of data exchange between each parties, which including image, ECG data, and so on. This data will accumulate and create some challenge in terms of large data set. Therefore, we need to anticipate this challenge by supporting the data exchange via hardware and software upgrade. Yeah, it is the big data. Also, last month, not last month, in October or November, we have some conference about the big IWBIS, International Workshop, Big Data and Information Security. Also, many researchers discuss about how to analyze the health data because it's very important. Okay, this is just our prototype implementation. This is just for example. The tele-ECG system was enhanced using Hadoop framework. We just make some prototype system, to deal when, for example, the requesting from the patient is more than 100, for example. So we try to implement the requesting topic in the Hadoop system. We call Hadoop framework because okay, even when we say about the big data, there is no standard how big the data. But the big data, the meaning is the big data is there is some limitation of this the standard system to analyze the data. So that maybe we need some other approach. We call big data platform. The famous one is Hadoop framework. When we already implemented, this is just for a sample. For the automatic classification and clustering of the ECG data, we have also implement in the big data platform. This platform could handle. The platform could handle 60 different requests at the same time. Maybe because maybe, for example, in the center, in the major city, the center hospital, there is many patients from the rural area, and requesting is more than 50 in the same time. So our system still can handle this issue. This is just a simple one. Okay. Also, this is just the example of the outreach data. We calculate, for example, it shows that for one patient, the ECG data will accumulate to more than almost 50 megabyte imaging when the patient is more than 1,000. So you just multiply the 50 megabyte and then how big the data. And therefore we need able to process in the large data, especially because our system involves automatic classification. We cannot make some pre-processing manually. We try to, because when we implement the big data, the meaning is we collect the raw data, and then maybe the system will make some pre-processing automatically. This is the framework of the big data. Okay, have devised a new method and and this compression method was implemented the Hadoop system, which is the one of the most popular big data. We try to give some what is the test in networking test we call straight test and so on. So our system still capable to deal about the problem. Okay, actually we still have a challenge and opportunity we in the last 5 years, maybe we are very often to invite the ABGC, academic, business, government, and community. Yes, how to implement in real application, because for example, there is no policy and regulation not yet established, and about the infrastructure, this one, the left one, infrastructure in internet connection coverage in rural area, especially in Indonesia, and limited 4G connection access in some site, and also the human resources. Okay, even in the rural area, this is the regulation for the Ministry of Health. When we decide about what kind of maybe the pattern of the ECG, at least maybe the doctor, dokter umum, ada meaning of the dokter umum, or just a perawat. We cannot directly decide it. So also, I don't know, as we mentioned in the earlier presentation, there is some limitation of the number of doctor, number of the expert people, and also we have some some problem in the device and sustainability. And the other one is, now we try to make a discussion with standard people, because even maybe in the standard, in computer, implement computer is quite difficult to make some standard, because usually we call the de facto standard. Yeah, there is no fixed standard. For example, this is Android. You know Android. And the first time there is no standard Android, handphone Android. But because they make some I don't know, some collaboration with some many vendor, and blah blah blah, and many consumer, yeah, buy the devices, and then from the, but actually especially in Indonesia, we need some standard, and also we must be building community. And the big data also still open problem. So I think when we doing research in this area, we still have some open problem, and we can solve many problem in Indonesia, and I think it's very good for the humanity. Okay, this is the end of presentation. Actually, this is the member of our laboratory. Maybe not all of our. This is my student who already graduate from our lab. I thank you for their work, and then maybe we can make some presentation about how to implement telehealth. Okay, thank you, Mbak Dr. Nia. This is my end of the presentation.
Thank you very much.